Matthew's Gospel, chapter by chapter and verse by verse. Welcome to Life is One Day at a Time.com. I'm Minister Chestnut, and thank you for joining me again on another old-fashioned Bible study. We're in the book of Matthew, if you just joined us. But first, I like to wish you grace, mercy, and peace, because in these ever-changing last days, we need it. Yes, all the grace, all the mercy, and especially all the peace that we can muster. Matthew, as we continue in proclaiming of the kingdom and proclaiming of the King. We're in Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. And we had called unto him his 12 disciples. He gave them power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sicknesses and all manner of diseases. Now that's serious. He gave his 12 disciples that kind of power. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebanus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not unto the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, when he told them, don't go to the Gentiles, don't go to the Samaritans, but go to the lost sheep of Israel. Because Israel as a whole had gone astray. So this is why he directed them to go first to the tribes of Israel. Verse 7. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely as you have received, freely have you give. Now, did you catch that? Jesus didn't charge them for the power. He gave them the power to do all this freely. So as they freely receive, hey, freely give. I mean, that's a lot of power going around. Verse 9. Provide neither gold nor silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet slaves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. Now, when he said don't take any gold, silver, brass, any scrip, it said don't be begging. If you're doing your job correctly, you'll get paid. Verse 11. And into whatsoever city or town you shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide until you go thence. In other words, you come into a city, You meet somebody that's respectable and they ask you, to stay at their house. Stay at their house while you're there in that city. Don't go from house to house. Verse 12. And when you come into the house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return unto you. This is discerning of spirits, of, keeping the peace, being peaceful. Don't go into a house agitating folks. You know what I'm saying? Verse 14. And whatsoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, then you depart out of that house or city, and shake off the dust of your feet. For verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah than in that day of judgment for that city. That means you go into a city or town and they don't want to hear it. Hey, keep on stepping. When you get to the end of the edge of the city, dust the dust off your feet and keep on going. Verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Now, what does that mean? That means you're out here in like sheep in the midst of wolves, and they will eat you alive if you let them. That's why you have to be wise as serpents. He's a little laid back, prudent, but be harmless as doves. That means being gentle as you go. Verse 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So here he's telling you what's going to happen, because everybody's not going to want to hear it, because everybody don't have eyes to see and ears to hear. Verse 19. But when they deliver you up, take no thought of what you shall speak, because it shall be given to you in that same hour what you shall speak. For it is not you that speak, but the Spirit of your Father, or the Holy Spirit, which speaks in you. Now this is prophetic, because in the last days, when the Antichrist is here on the planet, and when you are delivered up, then don't take thought of what you're going to say. Let the Holy Spirit use you, and he'll put the devil in his place. Verse 21. And your brother shall deliver up brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Now what's all this mother against father, kids against parents? I mean, look around of what's happening today. This younger generation does not have the same regard as the older generations had for their parents. I mean, it's a wild scene out there. The kids, they want to be the parents, and they want the parents to be the kids. It's a sad situation what's going on. Just keep praying. It'll be all right. Verse 23. But when they persecute you in this city, flee to another. For verily I say unto you, ye shall have not gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. Let's put a pin right there. Till the Son of Man be come. Now, we know he left. Well, at this time, when they were still with him at this time, and he had dominion. He was being proclaimed as king. This is what Matthew does. He proclaims the Messiah as king. Verse 24. For the disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. But if they have called his master of the house Beelzebub, then how much more shall they call them of his household? Now this Beelzebub, which the Lord of the Flies, they changed it later to make it Lord of the Dunghill. But the devils, this pertaining to what devils use, okay? Verse 26. Now, all this here is like between enmity and encouragement. Enmity and encouragement. Okay? Verse 26. Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. Verse 27. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that ye preach then upon the housetops. Now, he's given them a word. He's gave them words. He's gave them the gospel, so they should be preaching it from the housetops. I mean, you're going to let your light shine. You know how you can't put your light under a basket and slide it under a bed. No, you're going to put your light on top of a candle stand and let it light the whole room. Verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are able to kill the soul also. But rather fear him which is able to destroy both the soul and the body in hell. Now you know who that is. You know who the judge is. And after the great white throne judgment, hey, either you keep your soul and live into eternity, or your soul is lost into hell. Verse 29. This is encouragement now. You have the warnings, but fear not. But now this is encouragement. Verse 29. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Verse 31. Fear ye not, therefore you are of more value than sparrows. So whatsoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, but him I will also deny before my Father which in heaven. Now this points back to that relationship that we develop as believers. I mean, we're not afraid to profess Jesus is Lord. So when we get to heaven, Jesus is not going to profess, hey, here is your child. Because we are the sons and children of God. And I'm out of time. I'm Minister Chestnut. We'll see you next week for another episode of Life is One Day at a Time.com. How hard is it for everyone everywhere to come together and pray? Stop. Take a minute. Pray. Rejoice. Don't forget, Life is One Day at a Time.com comes on every week with Minister Chestnut, live and in living color. So be there every week, because Jesus is our rock.